To the coronation, a day of celebrations with a couple of surprise appearances. The Prince and Princess of Wales are mobbed by crowds on an impromptu walkabout at Windsor.
But very good of them to stop and talk to everybody. A wonderful bit of happiness and joy in what otherwise has been a very tough time. So thank you, Windsors, and God save the King.
And better late than never, there was sunshine at last for today's big lunch. An estimated 50,000 gatherings to mark the occasion across the country.
It's great, like everyone coming together and just, being united.
We're from New York, so we flew all the way over here. We knew a historical moment was going to happen and decided we needed to come out.
Yeah. Also tonight, accused of heavy-handed policing. The Met denies it was too quick to arrest protesters. And the party at Windsor. Tens of thousands arrive at the castle to see the stars who'll entertain a nation.
This is ITV News with Mary Nightingale from Buckingham Palace.
And good evening from Buckingham Palace. The King and Queen say they are deeply touched and profoundly grateful to those who helped make the coronation a glorious occasion. Especially, they said, the crowds who gathered here on the Mall and elsewhere. The couple spent the day resting away from the spotlight, but they're in Windsor this evening for what promises to be quite the after-party. Ahead of them were the Prince and Princess of Wales, who surprised ecstatic crowds with an unannounced appearance this afternoon. Our reporter Sejal Karia was there.
They could hardly believe it when the royal couple turned up. A crowd excited to get just a glimpse. Even better, a coveted photo with William and Kate.
Give us a wave this side, William!
For some of the younger well-wishers, it was overwhelming. Kate offering a cuddle. From selfies and sips of drinks offered, to chatting, shaking hands and waving to those at the back. Delighting the hundreds of people celebrating the coronation weekend.
This is the first time we've seen the Prince and Princess of Wales in public since the coronation, and they've been here to surprise the crowds that have already begun gathering ahead of tonight's concert.
I'm not nervous so much, to be honest with you. I was more worried if I spilt pins down the front of the Prince of Wales. So yes, I was not more than that than anything else, but very good of them to stop and talk to everybody.
So how much do you like William and Kate?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to know them much yet.
I just think it's gorgeous. Look how many people. It's just made their day. A wonderful bit of happiness and joy in what otherwise has been a very tough time. So thank you, Windsors, and God save the King.
And so sanctify thy servant Charles.
Millions across the UK and the world tuned in to see the crowning of the King, a ceremony filled with ancient rituals and symbolism, ending with rapturous cheers from the crowds outside Buckingham Palace. As the King and Queen appeared on the balcony. Today they thanked the nation for what they called a glorious coronation, saying they were deeply touched at the celebrations. Today formality gave way to festivity, with the Princess Royal in Swindon joining one of the thousands of street parties taking place across the country, greeting and mingling with local residents. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh tucked into a coronation chicken pie at a big lunch in Surrey.
Well done. Very good.
Joining in with people here to share in a day of eating, drinking and celebrating. Today was a day of the royals thanking a nation for a weekend of celebrating the coronation. Sejal Karia, ITV News, Windsor.
Well, our royal editor Chris Shipp is at Windsor Castle for us tonight. Chris, Prince and Princess of Wales looking very relaxed earlier today.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Mary. Hello from Windsor. I thought you could see almost the relief on William and Kate's face today now that yesterday is all over and done with. Don't forget, yesterday was about a ceremony that was first held 1,000 years ago. It was about William paying the homage of royal blood to his father, the new king. It was about, the streets of London packed with 7,000 military men and women, and all under a big cloud of rain. Today feels, I have to say, entirely different. We saw William and Kate here turn up unannounced on the long walk to meet some of the crowds who had got picnics on the floor. We were literally treading in their sausage rolls as we walked around with William and Kate earlier. And it kind of feels like the mood has changed from one of the serious nature of yesterday. It was, of course, an historic occasion, to much more of a party. And that's what Windsor feels like it is today, a bit of a party.
And we heard more, Chris, didn't we, about what the King and Queen made of yesterday's historic events.
Yeah, quite how do you sum up yesterday's historic events? We haven't seen the King and Queen yet today. In fact, we haven't seen them since that balcony appearance on Buckingham Palace yesterday. We know they are here because the King's standard is flying atop the round tower behind me. And earlier, Buckingham Palace put out a message to say that both the King and Queen were deeply touched by the events of yesterday and profoundly grateful, they said, both to those who helped stage it. I mentioned just the military were a very small part of it, and all those who did turn up with their umbrellas and waterproofs in the rain yesterday. So they are here at the moment. They are having a private family supper and then a reception with some of those who are attending tonight's party here in Windsor. And I think all round with the royal family, a lot of relief that we've got this far and it's time to do some celebrating.
Chris Shipp at Windsor Castle, thank you. Now, not every street party boasted a royal visitor, of course, today. There were 50,000 of them taking place, after all. But coronation quiches and cakes have been on display right across the UK, along with bunting, flags and decorations, including at Downing Street. Some pretty spectacular royal-themed outfits have also been on show. Here's Sangeeta Lal.
After the pageantry and parades of the coronation in Portsmouth, today was a more relaxed affair and a chance to finally enjoy some sun.
Wake up nice and early. We need to have a bit more fun in the country, don't we? It's a bit doom and gloom at the moment, so let's just have a bit more fun. Street party every week, yeah? Bank holiday Monday every Monday, yeah? How about that?
It's nice because you can see all your neighbors, you can say hi, you can,
I think it's a great weather, first of all, and nice weather, nice people around here, nice food and drinks as well. And it's a nice vibe itself, King Coronation. I think it's a big thing. It's a historic moment.
Just a day after the nation came together to see the new king crowned in Warwickshire, it was a chance for neighbours to reminisce on the moment they watched history.
One of the key moments I enjoyed was him kneeling in his silk shirt, waiting for the anointing. I thought that was fantastic.
Seen the parade yesterday. It was impeccable, impeccable.
More than 67,000 lunches have been held across the country. And for people in Northumberland, the street parties instead took pride of place in the parks.
This literally goes in the annals of history that, we've moved into a new age.
In London, just a few miles from where thousands lined the streets to watch the new king, today instead, communities came together to share friendship, food and fun.
It's great, everyone coming together and just, being united, especially after what happened during the last few years. Just something to celebrate,
I've been living on Gloucester Road for more than 34 years.
Wow, have you ever seen the street like this before?
Never. It's absolutely first time, and the atmosphere is really amazing,
This is brilliant because it's bringing everybody together.
We're from New York, so we flew all the way over here. We knew a historical moment was going to happen and decided we needed to come out.
Yeah. So you specifically came for the coronation?
Yes.
Have we made a good impression?
Oh, absolutely. We will definitely be back.
First time in London and we love it.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for bringing the weather.
Anytime. No problem.
And on the country's most famous street, the Prime Minister joined Ukrainian refugees and community leaders to continue the celebrations, with the First Lady of the United States taking part too. And there was no stopping the celebrations in Wales.
I'd like to be clear, this coronation party, airport!
Where the king once carried out so many royal duties as a prince, today residents marked his new title. And as festivities stretched the breadth of the United Kingdom, there was a celebratory spread in Glasgow, where a new generation spent the afternoon crafting crowns for a day they'll never forget. A day the King and Queen said they hoped would be truly enjoyable. And for so many it has been so much more than that. One, for making new friendships and new memories that'll last forever. Sangeeta Lal, ITV News.
The Met Police continues to face questions over whether officers were heavy-handed in shutting down protests ahead of and during yesterday's events. One environmental campaigner told ITV News he was arrested before he was able to wave his flag. Meanwhile, the head of an anti-monarchy group, who was also arrested, says the police approach amounted to an attack on democracy. Today, the Culture Secretary came to the Met's defence, saying it had got the balance right between allowing protests and also enjoyment of the coronation. Our political correspondent Shihab Khan reports.
An historic moment, a day of celebration, but not without controversy. More than 50 protesters arrested as the Met Police were accused of being heavy-handed.
We are not protesting about the king.
Dr. Kush Naikar in the blue hoodie was one of them. He was put in jail, held for more than 14 hours, and says that was before he even had the chance to wave his Just Stop Oil flag.
They essentially arrested me just in case. What does that tell you about the state of democracy? What does that tell you about the state of free speech in this country? They're treating me as though I am some sort of threat. I am not a threat. It makes me feel like I'm some sort of criminal, and it looks to the rest of the world like I'm some sort of criminal, which I know that I'm not.
Human rights groups said the scenes were reminiscent of what you'd see on the streets of Moscow. Police say people were arrested for affray, public order offences, breaches of the peace and conspiracy to cause a public nuisance. It included those from anti-monarchy group The Republic. Their chief executive, who was also arrested, released this statement saying these arrests are a direct attack on our democracy and the fundamental rights of every person in the country. Each and every police officer involved on the ground should hang their heads in shame. They showed no judgment, no common sense and no basic decency. But government ministers are adamant the right balance was struck.
I think we live in a democracy, and I think it's right that people can protest, have their voice heard. But there needs to be a balance, because there were millions of people as well who wanted to enjoy the coronation and the day. The police are operationally independent, and I think they tried to get that balance right, and I think they did.
Officers have been given new powers by the government to police protests, but Labour say once the dust settles, it's important that explanations are provided for their decisions.
People are critical of the law. Well, that's actually on us, on politicians. The important thing is that policing is proportionate. The Metropolitan Police know that they're accountable to the public. I'm sure they'll be explaining in the coming days the circumstances of arrest, the outcomes of those arrests, and whether they might have done things differently.
The arrests have been controversial to say the least, but the Met Police say this was a once-in-a-generation event and they believe they behaved in a proportionate manner. But there will be no real answers until all investigations are complete. Shihab Khan, ITV News.
We're moving away from royal events, and the leader of the Liberal Democrats has ruled out any coalition with the Conservatives. But speaking to the BBC today, Sir Ed Davey avoided rejecting a partnership with Labour. It comes after England's local election results suggested Labour could fall short of a majority at the next general election. In sport, Celtic have won the Scottish Premiership title with a 2-0 victory at Hearts today. It is Celtic's 11th Scottish title in the last 12 seasons. And a UK ticket holder has won £46.2 million in Friday's Euro Millions draw. The ticket holder was one of 3 winners, claiming a share of the £138 million jackpot. The other winning tickets were bought in France and Switzerland. So let's return then to the coronation and go back to our royal editor Chris Shipp, who is at Windsor Castle, where the party will begin tonight. And Chris, this weekend is all about ceremony and celebration, isn't it? Particularly now the sun's come out.
Yeah, this part, Mary, is all about the celebration. Now, let me just show you what's going on behind me. If you look up the long walk here, you can see members of the public who have all either won tickets in the ballots for tonight's concert, or they've been invited because they're a member of a charity or connected to the King or the Queen. They're walking up to what's called Henry IV Gate up there, and then they're turning right and going down to the East Lawn, where they've constructed a stage. And as I mentioned before in the programme, you can see the King's Standard flying there, where he has hosted that reception and will be in the royal box tonight to watch the party. Don't expect any speeches from the King tonight. We do know, however, that Prince William, the Prince of Wales, will make a speech, I expect, because of the way in which he's done this before. He will refer to his father not as the King but as Pa, which is what he and Harry call him. And the concert will also include some element of the King's passions. And I say that because there'll be an environmental theme to the concert tonight. So not just singing from Take That and Katy Perry and Lionel Richie and others, but a concert which also has some of the messaging that the King, of course, has been talking about when he was Prince of Wales for so many years on the environment. And that message will be delivered by the fashion designer Stella McCartney. So all happening here. I have to say, Mary, the sun does help, and it is quite a spectacular stage that they've got set up there. If you look at it from above, it's like the Union Jack, and you also see a crown around it as well. And anyone remembers that light display in front of Buckingham Palace for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee last year? I'm told we're going to get something similar at Windsor Castle tonight, along with some of those drones in the sky. It's going to look quite spectacular.
OK, enjoy it. Chris Shipp at Windsor, thank you. And finally, as Chris mentioned there, music takes centre stage in the coronation celebrations tonight. Yesterday, we had the soaring choirs and orchestra at Westminster Abbey, of course. This evening, we're expecting something a little bit more pop, as well as a whole host of internationally renowned classical artists, as our arts editor, Nina Nana, has been finding out.
It's been a weekend of queuing, but some things are worth it. At least the weather is kinder today.
We saw the concert for the Jubilee. That was amazing. We just watched it on TV and we just thought, let's get in the ballot and try to get here and see it for real. And we're just so lucky in the ballot to get here. So, yeah, really buzzing for it.
So we come all the way down from Bolton up in the north, and we came down 10 hours early just so we could absorb the atmosphere, and we're having a brilliant day. Superb, really good.
I'm excited to see, I think, Lionel Richie. I've been a great fan of his for many years, yes.
Everyone's been getting ready.
OK, Prince of Wales, it's time for your rehearsal.
The Prince will be on stage later. Katy Perry also in the lineup. There will be a lighting up of cities across the UK during the concert, as Perry and Lionel Richie, who were both guests at yesterday's coronation, join a host of other performers from the worlds of music, film and TV.
This is Britain, this is what we stand for, and I just think, my goodness me, we are so lucky to have the breadth of talent we have, and today there's even more.
I've been rehearsing here today, and it is such an incredibly complex but yet well-oiled machine. I think the team behind it have done an amazing job, and it's just for us lot to muck it up.
I'm so overwhelmed. This stage is so beautiful, it's so magical. And especially when you have the projection on the castle, it's a real fairy tale. It's a real fairy tale. Yeah.
Tonight this could be the greatest night of our lives.
Pop music from the likes of Take That, opera, the King's fondness and patronage of the arts will be in show across the evening, including a performance by 5 national organisations together for the first time, including the Royal Ballet and the Royal Shakespeare Company. 20,000 people are watching the performers today. Half of those won their tickets in a ballot, and the others have been invited through their work with charities and volunteering. The coronation crowds have moved on to the castle. The celebrations here are about to commence. Nina Nana, ITV News at Windsor Castle.
And that is all from us for now. I'll bring you the late news live from Buckingham Palace at 10:05. Until then, have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Everywhere will be lovely and warm today. You might even be tempted to go for a dip. Heinz Seriously Good Mayonnaise sponsors ITV National Weather.
Hello there, good evening to you. Hope you've had a lovely day. And as we head through the course of this evening, it is looking dry for many of us, although later on tonight we're going to see some rain push in from the west, accompanied by some strong winds. You can see the brighter colours. Some of that rain will be heavy at times across many central and eastern parts here, staying dry, but some pockets of mist and fog forming come dawn as well. But any early mist and fog will lift to hazy sunshine. But out towards the west, you can see that wet weather, it continues to push eastward. So it will be much more of an unsettled day tomorrow with outbreaks of rain, and under that cloud and rain, temperatures will be a little bit cooler compared to today. Highs of around 14 to 19 degrees Celsius. Now, as we head through into Tuesday, it's going to be a day of sunshine and showers. Definitely worth keeping your umbrella to hand because some of those showers will be heavy and at times thundery. And then through the rest of the week, it's changeable. Showers or longer spells of rain, but at least feeling warm in any sunshine.
Heinz Seriously Good Mayonnaise sponsors ITV National Weather.